What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, and Roberto De Zerbi's coaching staff has been fully confirmed now. Statement on the website, and we're going to go through coach by coach, and this is going to be your super team to keep Spurs in the Premier League. And let's go and quickly look at the statement on the website. It says, following the recent arrival of Roberto De Zerbi as our new men's head coach, we can now confirm the full structure of men's first team coaching staff. Marcatilli and Marcelo Quinto join as first team fitness coach and senior professional development phase coach respectively. Marcatilli, also known as Marco, brings a wealth of experience to the role. Marco, so much easier, man. He began working with Roberto in 2015 at Italian side Foggia, and has now been part of he's been part of his backroom staff since. Marcelo has worked with Roberto over the past 3 years during his time at both Brighton and Marseille. So Marco and Marcelo joined Bruno Saltor, Andreas Jorgensen, Cameron Campbell, Fabian Otte on the coaching staff, and they'll be supported by Stuart Lewis and Dean Brill, who have both been upgraded from their roles in the academy. So Stuart Lewis is a big one. He's done great work for the under 18s, and they're flying at this moment in time, the under 18s. So. No Sandro, no Nesta. We saw Sandro at the training ground. He was greeting De Zerbi, and he's
teasing us. Yeah,
I know.
Continuously throughout.
But it's a shame. It's a shame that there's no Sandro, but he's going for this tried and tested.
How many fitness coaches have they had this season?
I know.
It's been ridiculous, which is obviously not great when you're looking for like continuity and all that phases. I remember listening to a podcast of a former, I think, Spurs fitness coach, and he was saying how bringing in different types of fitness coaches, and all of them having their own different kind of ways of working can really affect the players. So it's not great. What I would say is, obviously Igor came in, brought his fitness guy in, and it definitely seemed to improve things from a fitness point of view, because you look at the stats, we were running a lot more under Tudor than we were under Thomas Frank. So hopefully a lot of that work building up the fitness of the players in the short term has been done by Igor. But Roberto De Zerbi bringing his guy in is really good, because we know that he has a very specific way of playing, and his way of playing requires I'm guessing the players to be of a certain kind of fitness and a certain fitness level, high pressing, chasing after lost causes, all this kind of stuff, being very intense as well, on and off the ball, very fast paced. So I'm glad De Zerbi has brought his guy in. I think, again, going back to that guy I was talking about who's doing the podcast about the fitness coach, he was saying when Ange came in, one of his biggest confusions for him was he didn't bring a fitness guy with him, because Ange had a very specific way of playing, and if you have a very specific way of playing, you need people who know it and people who understand it and know how to train it from a fitness point of view. So he said that was probably for him one of the biggest probably downfalls in that sense. So I think De Zerbi bringing his guy, who's obviously been with him at Brighton, at Marseille, is very good. The other guy I don't know too much about, but he seems to have also been with him at Marseille and Brighton as well, so it's a good continuation. Part of me is, obviously I'm happy he's got a couple of guys in, but he hasn't got any of his actual assistants in. There's a guy, Andrea Maldera, who was his assistant at Brighton and his assistant at Marseille.
Waiting for his work permit, mate.
Maybe by the time, it will De Zerbi be here by the time it comes through. But I thought if we're really giving De Zerbi as much control as we say we are, why not allow him to bring his assistant, unless he's happy with Bruno? But Bruno obviously came in to support Igor, and obviously we saw that. Even before that, Heitinger was brought in not long before to support Frank, and then Frank went, and so he went. But Igor's gone, but we're keeping Bruno.
So has Maldera been with him pretty much everywhere as his assistant? Where?
Only at Brighton and Marseille.
Okay.
As his assistant.
Maybe he's got other things that he wants. Maybe he's going into another job or something as a first team coach. I don't know. I really don't know. It's an interesting one.
Seem to be anywhere, and you might have something. Look, maybe De Zerbi's happy not to have him. I don't know, but I just would have thought if we're giving De Zerbi the keys, only 2 members of staff. Look, I understand from Tottenham's point of view, we have spent so much on members of staff, Frank's members of staff, Igor's members of staff. We've had to hire and fire in a very short amount of time. Ange's members of staff not even that long ago that we've had to fire, and it's been so much turnaround. I'm guessing they're trying to keep a bit of continuity. So I understand it from that point of view, but if you're just giving De Zerbi 5-year deal and we're giving him Fergie-like control, wouldn't it make sense to give him all the staff that he needs?
Yeah, look, that does make sense, but obviously we're not in those meetings. We don't know what De Zerbi actually wants. Obviously, this guy, Maldera's been with him at his last 2 jobs, but it doesn't mean that he's going to follow him around with him everywhere he goes, you know what I mean? So, I don't know, it's hard to make out too much from it. You know, we can put 1 and 1 together and make 10, or put 2 and 2 together and make 4, who knows? We don't know, do we? So it's hard to make a real assessment.
There have been some insinuations that De Zerbi was pushing for more members of staff in Tottenham and he wanted to give them the 2, and they said they wanted to continue.
I haven't heard that.
Only from some ITKs, but I don't know how true it is. But obviously you have to take this stuff with a pinch of salt. But there's been, apparently Spurs have been pushing that they like the current members of staff they have and they want to keep some continuity. I don't know how true that is, but I mean, it surprises me that it was only 2 members and no assistant coach, and he's going to have Bruno, who wasn't his assistant, who was assistant to be fair to Potter. So he has been around the clubs that De Zerbi's been, but I would have thought that he would have brought an assistant with him.
Yeah, look, we'll have to see how it plays out. It might be a case of maybe he'll come in the summer. We don't know.
Yeah.
So we'll have to see how it all develops from here. But in terms of now, the Backroom staff is first team fitness coach, Marcatilio I'm just going to call it Marco. 52 years of age, was at Marseille, Brighton, Shakhtar, Benevento, Palmero, Foggia, Brescia, Triestina, Regia, Ternaya, and I'm not even going to try and pronounce that.
He's a real De Zerbi believer.
Yeah, he's been pretty much with De Zerbi everywhere.
In De Zerbi's cult. Love that.
Professional development phase coach is Marcelo Quinto, 40 years of age, who's coached at Marseille, Brighton, and before that Fiorentina under 19s.
I wonder what that actually means. Professional development phase. Is that like what does that mean? What does that mean he's in charge of? The phases of players' development, I'm guessing. Meaning, I don't know if
job description put.
Job description. A professional development phase coach, typically working with the under 17s to under 21s academy players, prepares and delivers tailored training game strategies and individual development plans aiming to transition young players into professional football. That's quite good.
Yeah, so maybe he's going to be that kind of bridge from the academy to the first team.
And to be fair, at Brighton, quite a few young players, Hinchelwood, and there are a few, Evan Ferguson, quite a few young players were able to come into the first team. So hopefully, we know we've got a lot of talent at that level. So hopefully he's come in with the view of, look, we've got to find a pathway here, because that just hasn't been able to. Even, Frank came in and we were expecting maybe a few more younger players. Didn't quite happen. Ange used a lot of younger players, but again, he bought a lot of them. And apart from Mikey Moore, there was no real pathway from academy. So it's been a long time since we've really given academy players proper opportunity. Proper
opportunities, yeah. Obviously, like the Junai Biefeld's had a few minutes this season. Callum Olasesi as well. Roswell recently came on. Was it against Liverpool?
He came on, yeah. I think Liverpool, yeah.
So a few have been having a few minutes here and there, but nothing significant.
And also it's because we've got a 13-man injury crisis.
Yeah,
probably.
True. Yeah,
that probably plays into it. But let's hope that this is a good step in the right direction for our academy.
Yeah, absolutely. In terms of the staff that remain at Tottenham, so only 2 staff members have been brought in by Roberto De Zerbi. First team assistant coach will be Bruno Saltor. He obviously only joined the club in February by Igor Tudor, previous clubs West Ham, Chelsea and Brighton. First team assistant coach Andreas Jorgensen, who's obviously the set piece coach as well, appointed by Thomas Frank. Fabian Otte also came in with Thomas Frank at the start of the season. Individual development coach will be Cameron Campbell, who previously worked at Leipzig, Rangers under 18s and Aberdeen under 17s, who was also brought in by Thomas Frank. And the support staff will be Dean Brill, who joined the club in 2021, previously at Leyton Orient, and Stuart Lewis, who's been at the club since 2015 and has been credited to great work with the under-18. So I'm not sure if support staff means that they'll carry on in their roles in the academy. I'm not sure, but it's good to see Stuart Lewis get a bit of an upgrade here.
Yeah, for sure. He's been well talked up, and even some were suggesting, could he have taken an interim role? He was doing such a good job, so I'm glad for him. The one that just doesn't sit right with me a bit is Bruno. I don't know kind of what he's doing here. He hasn't seemed to pull up any trees at other clubs that he's been at. Obviously, he's followed Potter around, but even Potter didn't do well at all at Chelsea, didn't do at all well at West Ham as well, and Bruno was his assistant there. Obviously, he did quite well at Brighton, so that's fair. But we had Heitinga here. Obviously, I can't say should we have kept Heitinga because at that time we weren't getting Zerbi or anything like that, and he clearly didn't want to stick around. But if you're just taking it objectively, who would I rather want? I mean, Heitinga's proven probably a bit more successfully at other clubs in the Premier League as an assistant to be in that role. So I'll probably rather someone like him in the job, but obviously that's been and gone now. And I guess how many times can you change assistant? We had loads of assistants under Frank. We've changed it, and now we brought Bruno in. He had assistants as well, Igor, regardless of Bruno. Obviously they've gone and Bruno stayed on. He's a guy who knows the Premier League, but I've just got a feeling, is he a guy who actually... He hasn't been handpicked by Zerbi. He's been picked by an interim who's long gone. He hasn't done that well at other clubs. Is he going to be out the door quite quickly, I wonder?
Yeah, it's really hard to judge an assistant, just because, because he obviously did a very good job. Him and Potter did a very good job at Brighton. But does that mean because the jobs at Chelsea and West Ham haven't gone too well that, he's not a great assistant coach? I mean, it's hard to make that real assessment unless you know what's going on in the background.
Yeah, of course. I'm just making an observation. And the fact that he hasn't been chosen by Zerbi, he's been inherited. Obviously, I don't think Zerbi picked him. So is Zerbi going to, at the end of the day, want his man?
Yeah, look, it might be a case in the summer that Bruno goes and Maldera comes in. Who knows? But it's, as of now, I doubt if Zerbi didn't want him here, he'd be here. You know what I mean? I think if Zerbi was, didn't rate him or didn't think he's a good assistant coach, then I don't think he'd be here right now. I think he probably would have lost his job.
But I also think it's kind of, he's going to be under quite, I think a lot, it's a bit like when an owner takes over a club, they always want their man instilled, and the person who's a manager at the time always gets the chop very quickly. And I feel very similar, it's kind of similar to that in terms of Bruno's here now, but they've got a new manager at the helm who also has a lot of control. So I kind of feel like, although he's staying, I feel like that. I don't know whether we bring an assistant as well as him or he'll be going. I get the feeling he won't be here.
Yeah, you might be right. You might be right, but it seems as though the Marcelo and Marco are the two kind of non-negotiables that Zerbi had. Mm-hmm. So maybe he values these two guys higher as his assistant coach.
And I guess from Tottenham's point of view, they just spent so much money hiring and firing coaches. They just can't keep it. They've got to keep some people at some point. So maybe they've drawn a line and say, look, we're keeping Bruno. We literally just brought him in. They don't want to do the same thing to Bruno they did to Heitinga, maybe.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know if it's that, because I don't think there's any room for sentimentality. They can't be when...
It's not about sentiment, it's about money.
Yeah, but it's one more person. Can that really hurt? Is that going to make us go under? Is that going to cost so much money? How much of a contract did he even have? Did he have a long contract, or did he have the same contract as Igor Tudor till the end of the season?
I don't know.
How much money could it have actually cost the club? Not that much, really, surely.
Maybe they've just drawn lines saying you're getting two and that's it, and he's had to pick a fitness and a thing and a professional development. And maybe once he's proven himself, we'll open the coffers again. Yeah,
look, we'll see. I wouldn't be totally surprised if Bruno has a contract till the end of the season, he goes, and then Maldera comes in.
But I'm happy Jorgensen's stayed on. We know he's obviously set-piece coach, and he's also actually staying on as assistant. So that's obviously good. He's done a good job this season, one of the few. Fabian Otte, he came in, when did he come in? January?
He came in July.
Was it July?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's hard to judge what a good job he's done.
But we know he's done good jobs in the past. He was accredited to great work with Alisson and stuff at Liverpool.
Don't think it's his fault Vicario got a hernia.
Yeah. So, I mean, look, Fabian Otte, I think he's done good jobs in the past. So I've got no problem with him staying on as goalkeeping coach. So we'll see how it goes. That is the dream team, people. That is Roberto De Zerbi's full coaching staff at Tottenham. Let us know your thoughts in the comment section below. Like, subscribe, and comment. And as always, come on, you Spurs.